So I wanted to give a recap on this one. The ship that we sailed on was Royal Caribbean's Enchantment of the Seas, and it was our first time on this particular ship, and it was one of the smaller ships. It kind of reminded me of the Grandeur of the Seas in a lot of ways, in terms of the size and the decor and the amenities that it had or didn't have. So if you're looking for a smaller ship, if you're not really into the big crowds and the mega ship kind of situation that's going on now with the Icon class, and even if you think the Oasis class ships are too big, this ship may be ideal for you. So what I liked about it was that it was very easy to navigate around the ship. I didn't feel like I was doing laps all the time. And for my family, we have a thing where we don't take the elevators on a cruise ship. And the reason behind that is the first cruise that we ever did together, my husband and I, we did together, we gained a lot of weight. I gained 10 pounds in 1 week. So after that, we're like, we're gonna have to find a way to enjoy the yummy food that they have on board and also not gain a ton of weight. And we decided for the second cruise to avoid taking the elevators and just take the stairs everywhere. And I actually came back from that cruise 1 pound lighter. So ever since then, we have been strong advocates for avoiding the elevators on a cruise ship. My cabin was on deck 8, so that made it pretty easy for us to get up to the Windjammer, which was on deck 9. So that was something that was nice about it. Another thing I liked about it was that I was able to secure a really nice cabin. This was a cabin that was a little bit over 600 square feet. So by far it was the largest cabin we've ever sailed in, which was very convenient for having 2 small children. And the best part too was that it had 2 bathrooms. So you had the standard bathroom with the walk-in shower, and then there was the bathroom with a tub, which was the first time we've ever seen a bathroom with a tub on a cruise ship. I've heard about it, I know that they existed, but for us it was the first time seeing it. To be honest, we didn't actually use the tub with our kids. I think our kids were a little bit older and they really don't need the tub per se. I think if you have babies and you're still in that early phase with the infants, maybe the tub may be beneficial, but my kids are 3.5, 5.5, and they were kind of excited to see the tub, but they didn't really use it. So if you have younger children and they're still taking showers and baths and tubs, then sure, that may be a thing that you'll like. And then there was a whole separate section in the room just for the kids. And if we had 4 children, we could easily fit 4 kids in that room. That's how much space there was. And then there was a whole another little section just for me and my husband on our king size bed, which was so nice. And there was, of course, a little seating area. So it's a very, very nice, lovely cabin. Can't complain. The cabin number, I think, was 8012. I took a little tour of the cabin when we first got in with all the excitement with the kids. So I'll share that as a separate video later on. But that was probably the highlight of the whole cruise for us, was being able to be in a very spacious room. So with that said, I feel like after sailing in a cabin that size, it's going to be very hard for us to go back to sailing the cabin that is like 200 square feet. Yeah, 200 square feet is going to feel very tight moving forward. But anyways, so that was something else that we enjoyed. The food was okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it was phenomenal. I did have a reservation for chops for the last sea day, but we had to cancel it because that last sea day turned to be a wild ride for everybody. Apparently there was a storm brewing out in the ocean somewhere, and we had to sail around it. And I tell you, that was the choppiest waters I've ever felt. And I've been cruising for about 10 years, and this is the choppiest waters I've ever felt. I think the only other time I felt the choppiness like that was on the Grandeur of the Seas, which is about the same size ship. So I wonder if it's in part because the ship was smaller, we felt it more. So that's something to take into consideration if you are prone to motion sickness. Then you may want to avoid the smaller ships and stick to the bigger ships. I didn't have a problem myself personally, but unfortunately my children and my husband, they went through the bouts of the motion sickness, and so did a lot of other passengers. So that's something I'll have to mention. That wasn't the best part, and that kind of happened on the last day, the sea day. But one of the crew members shared with us that all we needed to do was have some kiwi, and I got some like essential oils that we put behind the ear. I think it's called motion ease or something like that, and that helped to calm them down. It's a car trying to park. And they were better. They felt better within like 30 minutes of eating the kiwi and getting the essential oil thing for behind the ear. But outside of that, that was probably the worst day of the cruise. I remember my husband's like, how much money would I pay to get off of this ship right now? That's how bad he felt. But as I said, they were feeling a lot better later on, and we were able to get back to enjoying the final activities and so forth. So because I ended up having to cancel my chops reservations, that night in the main dining room, I ordered some chops food, and that was good. It was still good, even though I wasn't in the restaurant eating my chops meal like usual. It was still good to get a taste of chops in the main dining room. Now, speaking of the main dining room, the service level in the main dining room, at least with the waiters that we had, was phenomenal. They made the trip really, really a great experience, and they had very good service in terms of remembering what you liked in your orders for the previous night. So that was just phenomenal. They really made a huge impact on the experience that we had. And I have to say the same thing about our stateroom attendant. He was very attentive and very helpful with the things that we needed, especially with the toddlers. So that was good. All right, so what else do I have to say about this trip? Mexico. Let's talk about Mexico. So as I said before, we were supposed to go to Costa Maya, Cozumel, Honduras, and Belize, but Honduras and Belize got kicked out of this trip. So we were left with Cozumel and Costa Maya. We have been to those two ports in the past, and I wasn't too excited about going back to them in particular because we've done what we can do with the kids. It's very challenging to do a lot of excursions with small children, and I'm not a fan of paying over $100 per person for excursions, at least not yet. I think if it was just my husband and I and we were going out to do something adventurous, then probably, but with the kids, and that kind of limits or hinders how much flexibility and just how much we can do. And I'm not going to pay $100 for them to sit there and watch us attempt to do something that we can't really do because they're there. So that was that with Costa Maya and Cozumel. Also, I feel like this is October and it was still too hot for my liking. I have been there in May, to Costa Maya in May. Actually, I've been to both ports in May, and Mexico is hot. Nobody talks about that really, but if you want heat and if you want to do the sunbathing thing and that's what you want to experience, then this time of the year is perfect for you. It's not going to be too hot. I can't say I was sweating a lot, so it wasn't really humid, but it was hot. And I'm from Florida. I already have heat. I'm trying to not go on vacation in more heat and humidity, so I think that's probably why I'm not really a fan of it. I think I'm willing to give Mexico another shot, but probably like somewhere in November to February range. I want to see if it's a little bit more tolerable for me, for my liking, and I take it from there. Then with the kids, this time around. So I've been cruising with the kids since before they were 1 year old, and each stage is so different. I think this is probably the best cruise we've had with them in terms of the experience we've had as parents. And I know a lot of times people make plans based on what the experience would be like for the kids and making sure the kids have a lot of fun, but you also have to remember it's your vacation too, and you want to have fun on your vacation. Because the way I see it is, vacation really is just a glorified means of taking care of your kids in a different location. So you're paying money to go somewhere else to take care of your kids. So you want to at least be able to have some fun while doing that. And this was probably the first time, I wouldn't say we had fun, because for us, the whole point of this particular cruise was for us to have some rest. We hadn't taken a family vacation or any break really in a year. It was last year, October, that we went on our last cruise, and I can share those videos with you as well, and that experience in a different time. But this time around, our theme was rest. We took the kids to Kids Club. They had a blast in Kids Club. I was kind of surprised that they had so much fun in the Kids Club, because when I got there, it seemed very tiny and small. I'm like, this is where they're gonna be? Like, this is it? But the kids came home to the cabin every day, and were asking when was the next time they're gonna go to Kids Club. And they made friends there. They would see their little friends around the ship and be saying hi. So that was kind of cute that they were able to make friends that quickly in just a handful of days. But it was something that they looked forward to, and it gave my husband and myself some time to really get some sleep. I'm not even gonna lie, like I would just drop them off and go back to the cabin and sleep some more. I remember my stateroom attendant was like, I see that you have the thing up that you're sleeping. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what's happening here. We're not doing anything else, we're just sleeping. And then every now and then whenever we stopped in Mexico, we actually came off the ship and we went into port and kind of toured the port itself. But yeah, we did a lot of sleeping just to get some rest. And then with the kids, so the other thing that's different is with the kids being older and potty trained, that's like a big difference. So both of our children are now fully potty trained. So this time around, they happen to be close enough in age to be in the same Adventure Ocean class. I think this is probably the only time they'll be in the same class for like another 2 or 3 years. And then, so that was kind of a unique experience for them to be in the same class together.